It is the face-off. Friday night, Peter Kivazo, Charles Romshana, David Pukol, and Honorable Medad Segona. We are going to Honorable Segona. And Honorable Segona, I did about 2 weeks ago or thereabouts, I did the Kampala-Gulu highway all the way to Gulu. And one of the most adorable features was the hospital in Kiriandongo. It hasn't changed color. It's still white and blue, like you'll find in Butambala. I think I've seen Gombe Hospital. Looks very much the same. Masaka has got a bit of a new face, but these features,
Chivoga.
Yes, these features are deep in the villages, and they are across this country, and they look alike, and they were constructed instead of districts. When did we lose this? If we take services to the people, do I take a district administration block, or do I take a hospital like the one I saw in Kiriandongo? It's been touched up, it's been given a coat of paint, it's been renovated, and it looks brilliant. But that says the people that constructed it did a good job as well. So what do I take to the people? What is this district?
Well, one of the most amazing things that I read when the Honorable Mama Mbabazi offered himself to run for presidency in this country was a statement where he said we are stuck between the middle, between the old and the new. And that reminded me of my history lessons when we were talking about new wine in old bottles. I can give you this promise, and it's my prophecy to this country. Before you destroy those old bottles, you'll never get new wine. And that's why I liked that statement. Stuck between the middle, that is, in the middle, between the old and the new. And we need to go forward. My colleagues, my brothers, have given a very fair treatment to the historical evolution of our districts in this country. I intend not to add more. But I want to look at it from this angle, that Mr. Museveni as a person has looked at districts as a tool of politics as opposed to a tool of service delivery, which you were talking about. I agree with you absolutely that when, for example, Gombe Hospital was built, how many districts did you have? You know, it was actually Mpigi.
It was the larger Mpigi.
The larger Mpigi district. And larger Mpigi district had the following hospitals of fairly that level: Gombe, Mpigi, Entebbe grade A, Entebbe grade B. Then below that you would have places like Kanoni, Bulo, Kasangati, and things in that generic string. We did not need districts. In fact, by creating districts, you deny the people the service, because the money that would have constructed such hospitals and health centers will instead go to paying salaries, to building office blocks, to buying vehicles, and things of that sort. So, Mr. Museveni uses, and as observed by David here, Mr. Museveni uses the district as a political tool for personal survival and possibly family heritage or hegemony. Now, on the other hand, and this is Mr. Museveni, whenever I look at him, I see two things. The first, I see the distinction between politics and leadership. He could be a very, very good politician because he's cunning, but he's the worst leader I have ever seen. Because a leader who has no respect for institutions, a leader who has no respect for criteria, a leader who has no respect for principles is the worst I have ever seen. But at the level of a politician, he will manipulate the population and say, what do you people want as a population? We want a district. And why do they want districts? They want a district because I expect to be the next chairman of LC5. I expect to be the next woman MP for that new district. I expect to be the ABCD to supply.
But the people that eat rats are not those ones.
In our press, in the West, they use the campaign because for each district it gets a quota to the university, government university, public university.
That's what they tell.
Two slots per district. In other words, the more the districts you have, is the more the students you have in the university on government payroll. Actually, that's the reason why they chop to shame. That's the campaign.
Thank you for that information. And I will give a quick response to that. I mean, when I was going to the university, we did not have that district quota. But I went to the university. All you needed was, I think at the time when you guys were at the university, the government was sponsoring 4,000 students. When Dr. Besigye came in 2001 and said, I will double the numbers, Mr. Museveni said, I'm also doubling. But as they doubled the numbers, they also tripled the school fees for the private students to be able to cater for the increasing number of the government-sponsored students. But back onto this, to answer that, these are not the people who come and eat rats, etc. I want to tell you something. Mr. Museveni has survived on the ignorance he has created amongst our people. And I have said before, I will continue to say, the greatest offense Mr. Museveni has committed in this country that we may find inexcusable and unforgivable is the stupefaction of the formerly most intelligent men and women. Those that would otherwise own to say, Uganda is my country, Uganda is my father's land, Uganda is my forefathers' country. I will not do that. We'll always go and sing and say, oh, Mzee, you get there, and therefore we'll do that. Now, service delivery. You see, where you have a district, one, that does not even have 40% of the required manpower, where you have a district that cannot generate enough revenue to pay even the politicians in that particular district, of what value is such a district? Now, while the Pukos of this world believed at the time of making the constitution that there was a genuine leadership in this country, they did not know that they had a class of conmen who were conning them in the name of this country and in our name, I must say. Oh, they actually thought this is a good government. We've fought the bad regimes of Milton Obote, of Idi Amin, etc. If you want to say that that Mr. Museveni has undergone a political metamorphosis in this country, and therefore if he met the Museveni of 1986, they would fight, you're deceiving yourself. Actually, Mr. Museveni was simply cunning. If he had not been my president, I would have said he's a con man, because he knew where he was heading. He had a program, and you people were not party to that program. You were simply conscripted. And if you want to understand how you were conscripted, is look at the so-called historicals today who are crying, who did not know that this man was looking at family hegemony, was looking at family succession, etc. And because he has not prepared adequately somebody to take over with some linear connection, you know, he's going to continue. Now, somebody, I think, just was saying before that, oh, he's planning to retire into real estate management. No, he's a real estate manager as we speak, except that he has no retirement plan. So when you talk about plans to retire, you simply don't know the man you're talking about. One other thing you need to know about Mr. Museveni, like any other tyrant, like any other dictator, they do not like anything called another center of power, another power block. That's why you will see many of the Bugereres, many of the Rulis, and now you can see Kochi, you're going to see very many. He's determined to break up each and every single.
Shall I ask Honorable Segona?
And I will answer.
Because you were part of the team that negotiated with the regime, with government. They tell me that I choose to call them a regime. But you were part of the team that negotiated the regional tier. Am I right?
No, sir.
It was Charles Peter Maiga, now Katikiro, and yes, and that team,
John Katende and group.
And returned with a product. Sometimes I look back, don't you think if that product had been taken as it were, it would have moved us from the district, what?
Districtization.
The districtization, as it were. I hope I don't get a district for not saying it the way you say it. And therefore galvanized power away from the center and away from the tiny units to a larger unit that would possibly do a lot more sensible things?
No. I don't think so, because you see, even in that, one, the power, and I will say the power of Mr. Museveni to take over even the regional government was preserved. The power of Mr. Museveni to take over the district was reserved. The power to create districts was also reserved. Those powers were not abolished even under the regional government. If they had been, he would not be creating them, because even when you have Article 176, 177, and 178, you still, I mean, the regional tier, in effect, in law, is in the Constitution.
Hasn't been operationalized.
No, but it has not stopped Mr. Museveni. You see, even the operationalization would not stop, would not amend the Constitution by infection. So Mr. Museveni would go, as long as you have a one Mr. Joel Kaguta Museveni, who is prone to mischief in his way of administration, or call it maladministration, nothing would have changed. I would actually tell you, and I would defend those gentlemen that went to negotiate with Mr. Museveni. The biggest mistake they made was thinking that Mr. Museveni was negotiating in good faith. Never has he ever heard in his vocabulary a word called good faith.
David,
Now,
David,
the issue
as you
is
come to this,
yes.
I mean, take it or leave it.
Let's double click this districtization.
Yes, we'll get to
Who's
that.
a beneficiary?
We'll get to that. I need to think through this. And sometimes there are theories that are wild, but they work. A friend of mine in the media says, wait a minute, government is the largest employer in this country. By slitting districts, government has decided to take jobs to your people in Karamoja.
Is that correct? Because it
I hear
doesn't
you.
employ more than 500,000.
I hear you. What is new in the new districts? Okay? It's a police station. If you look at what is new, it's a courts. Okay? It's a prisons block where the jail. It's the LC5 administration block. And therefore, each smaller part now turned district as a DISO, as a district police commander. So in terms of effective control and military machine and coercive elements of the state to police the country and make sure that if you try a demonstration now, we used to do it in the whole of the Soroti. Now when you're coming from Amuria, which is a district, by the time they bring all the DPCs from the entire TESO and block you, where do you pass? So it's not for the good of the ordinary people. It's actually to strengthen grip on the population and therefore coercive elements more and terror machine. So where are then these services? Okay, where are these services they're
Health
talking
Center
about?
4.
The health center force without drugs ending walls that are collapsing because of poor workmanship. So where are these services? Because even before the month has ended, the drugs are finished. So where did the drugs go? So the money for creating this, you've been told, for example, the bill of parliament is going to be 9 billion. Is that per month? When actually the Ministry of Education is 10.7 billion a whole year.
Let me ask.
So
Let's pause a bit there. Tell me, what is the role of a member of parliament in service delivery?
for example, in a county.
None, as far as I'm
Precisely.
concerned.
It's the whole issue. So people are being hoodwinked. They're being cheated like we were cheated again in the CA. That deception is still continuing.
I don't think
So-
that's a correct record. Because there are
We were told that the reason was
Yes, Charles, give the
there
information.
are areas that we ring fenced, like the writ of habeas corpus. Yes, it's inviolable. That article you can't amend without without referring to referendum. We ring fenced it because we had the experience of the late Kachama.
Mayanja.
Mayanja Kachama. They knew what the problem was and they helped alert us. So there are areas we were never alerted about. And this was to do
No,
with
but
the
but
gerrymandering.
Charles, let me
That
ask.
is information.
But let me ask him. You answered
to
once.
complete, yeah.
If that right is inviolable, how many days did I spend in prison, in police cells,
On the
in the
road.
bush, on the road, detained, without being produced in court?
Yeah,
You
but
see, you
that-
can
that
have
means,
the,
you
you
see what
can-
it means is that the document we made
Yeah,
is
yeah.
no longer operational.
The document-
the covenant we made
I
is
agree,
thrown out. Yeah.
absolutely. But I've told you that the biggest problem in this country and the biggest liability we have as a country is the president.
And now, there's, I've told you that how is the president benefiting, how is the dictatorship benefiting from districtization and splitting the area into smaller and smaller and smaller. I've just given you in terms of the
No,
coercive
there
elements
is
of
your
force.
IC which has
The second-
6,200 people.
I hear you. So now
6,200
the president
people.
is
200
saying
people.
What, a district or a
the
constituency?
It's a
president,
constituency,
the
much
president
less than
is
a
saying
village
he's
in Mali.
against tribalism, but he's already dishing out district based on tribes and the way you pronounce things, the way your language is different from mine. Now, the same person is saying he's patriotic, that is not sectarian. But you see, again, you are dispensing your administration based on sectarian considerations.
That is now more prevalent in Churu.
Now,
Chirura has been
Kashon-
split
Kashon-
into
Yeah, that's the
Kazo and
Those
there's a
who
new
come
one
to work in the kraals are not necessarily of the same ethnic
from Kashon.
with those who own the kraals. So those who own the kraals are going to be given their constituency, and those who work in the kraals are going to be given theirs.
And because then,
Hallelujah.
and that creates a blue sky for the current MP, okay, who comes from the crowds, okay, and then these cultivators will have their own constituency. So this is sad in terms of.
you are sharing math.
Now, I was going to give you that in 1996, President Museveni won by 89.2% in the newly created districts. So in 2001, Mr. Museveni won 72.5% in the newly created districts. In 2006, he won elections. He won again at 73.6% in the newly created district. So this districtization is working for him. So don't think that when he's giving you a district, when he's giving you a new constituency, that it is for your good. It is for his own electoral survival. Because I've given you the trends. And so, one, hold grip of the population, no services for water, health, education, that's just people. And the other is electoral manipulation. And the third, the third reason is he does not want a power center elsewhere. So the time has come for us to re-engineer again and get a new consensus. This 1995 constitution, the consensus has been violated. We need a new constitution.
Okay.
And therefore, we also need, in my view, to get rid of districts and remove that motivation. And let's go back to counties and use the county as a service delivery unit, as an administrative as well as service delivery unit, remove sub-county, bring back the chiefs of the sub-county and the parish, and retain LC1. So what am I saying? If you could retain LC1 within the administration and abolish LC2 and LC3 and put that money at the district and the LC3 and LC2, put that money to support and strengthen service delivery at the county level. Okay, that's where the ambulance will be. That's where the everything will be. And then we get back to the region, the Karamoja state, if you like, or province, or the Teso, the Lango, the Acholi, the West Nile, the Rwenzori instead of Toro Kingdom, the Ankole, the Kigezi, Buganda. You can even split into two in terms of east and west, but keep it as Buganda, but nonetheless under their own king, so that you have actually 14 or 16 provinces or regional states, or a federated arrangement, and get rid of districtalization and get rid of LC3, get rid of LC2, and bring back the sub-county chief, the parish chief, and then, because now these LCs are compromising service delivery.
I'll hold you there.
So you need a chief who is not elected.
Charles differs with you. Charles doesn't seem to agree with your
proposal.
re-engineering.
The problem is not the form of the administrative structure. The problem is what are the controls of the administrative structure. Like the KCCA, this authority. The control of that administrative structure is both the mayor, who is elected, and the executive director.
Was supposed to be.
Yeah. So now the president opts to take the executive director as a control. Now at the district level, because we decentralize it, so we said the district council and the chairperson, you are in control, and you have the cow through your district service commission. But then the center withdrew, and the coordinator shall be the resident district commission to coordinate between the central government, the president, and the local unit, the local government. Now the cow has been withdrawn.
And taken back to the center.
The moment you take away the cow, then it means you have withdrawn decentralization. It's because
he is the chief executive.
Because he's the chief executive. So the problem is not the form.
You would get a different district.
Actually,
executive
you're
is-
even mistaken. You see, with the decentralization, one thing you need to appreciate, I think my two colleagues have mentioned this at the beginning. At the advent of colonialism, we were organized in such a way that each region had its own administration. We simply agreed in 1962 to come together, and that was the federation. And in the federation, we first recognized that power belongs to us. And that is why we need to go back to recognize that this power is ours. With the difference with the decentralization thing is that you're decentralizing power, which is in the center. But who gave you those powers?
You're moving power from
Exactly.
the top to...
Oh yeah, but it was,
Wait
it
a minute.
was usurped in 1967.
Precisely, that's the point. And you know, when you guys were coming, you said, okay, we're going to rectify the past mistakes, etc. Return power back to the people. And you
It's not
deceived.
possible. You can't federate from the center.
You see, that's the point I'm making.
Federate from the
That we
periphery.
were supposed to go back and see what is this agreement that we made, the consensus of 1962, which brought us together. And that is the starting point. Now, with respect to decentralization, what did they decentralize? You never decentralized the power, you guys. You never decentralized resources. You simply decentralized responsibilities.
That's what I was going to go to when you came in. So at the district, what services are you delivering? Because you hear of that notion of service delivery. What services do you have there? Payment of salaries?
Conditional.
Land titles? Production like agriculture? What services do you deliver? Or it is mere an administrative...
Just, I have been asked by a friend that comes from Chankwanzi.
Or it is mere an administrative
Let
unit.
me give you feedback. I have been asked by a friend that comes from Chankwanzi, Chiboga. And they say that, Peter, you think about us this way. When I needed my land title, and I was in some place deep in Chiboga, I would need to move almost 200 kilometers to go to the district headquarters to be able to process my land title. Now, that service has been brought possibly 60 kilometers.
That's the point I'm making. Do you need to bring a unit, or you need to bring personnel? If like, for instance, at every sub-county, you have an officer from Uganda Land Commission, can't they do the same? If at every district you have an extension officer, agriculture extension officer, can't you still deliver the same? If at every sub-county you have someone from the education department, can't you still deliver that service? So what do you need? Do you need a coordinator? Do you need a coordination unit, an administrative unit, or you need the service which can
Charles,
be
what
delivered
would you
from-
change?
Yeah, and you see, we are looking at the conceptualization of this, the concept. Because what Honorable Segona is talking about is the population being unable to interrogate. If you ask Honorable Kanya why he was pretending he was committing suicide, and those who were laughing, rescuing him, does Honorable Kanya know the value of a district? He does not. Those who ate raw rats do not know what actually a district is. They have not internalized it. And the reason is very simple. Because each one has got interests in it. Is that we have got a broken spirit. The population spirit has been broken. They are spiritually paralyzed. They have no will. I will give you an example. When President Museveni is creating Zimbabwe, is he bringing a service? Is he bringing administration? No. He's looking for a group of people that he can incite against those who want the monarch. When he's working on Rakai, what is his mindset? He's looking at a group of people. When he's looking at Zimbabwe, when he's looking at Kayunga, because in Kayunga you have
United Nations.
You have United Nations. So he's looking at all of those, but he's not with the population. Some know and
But
understand.
those populations ask for those districts.
Yeah, because you see, I can ask
It's
you.
become fashionable.
It's called conditioning. I can condition you to love.
Instrumental
Jesus Christ.
conditioning.
Jesus
That's a
Christ.
scientific word for it.
Yeah.
That's a psychology. Yeah.
I can condition you.
Yeah.
Go on.
Instrumental conditioning. Yeah.
I can condition you to hate. I can condition you to love. So the population has been conditioned. You first condition them to what you want them to ask for, and then they ask for it. And they're asking for it in chorus. But at various strata, various levels, they have different intentions. So the political leaders are looking at jobs. Because like in some place in Mbare, there is where they have made a district. Yes. Actually, it has even gone up to family, because I've been following their fight. Those who are cut from Palisa. Now, then you have regional tier. The regional tier is a chisamtutu, like this bird.
What is Chisamutu?
It's an owl, I think, an owl.
Chiugulu.
For us, we have a proverb that if you take Endahi is an edible bird from a kid, you don't give a chisamtutu. What then do you give? It's like taking away your car and I give you a sweet. So what do you do with the Baganda who want a kingdom? Can you give something similar to kingdom that you can maneuver? And then you think of a regional tier. But regional tier to do what? Because the problem with the federation, and by the way, almost gave it. I attended that meeting where the president was pleading with us to give Tarao Federation. And we asked, what are the ingredients of the federation? One is taxation. So who carries out taxation? Is it Uganda Revenue Authority or it is Buganda Revenue Authority? And Buganda is saying, for us, we don't want our culture system to tax because it may make us unpopular. So who is going to meet the cost of taxation? Then how do we share revenue? And they were, I think, discussing on those figures. It's 30 or 40%. And then what do you do with the revenue from Kampala? Because there is a Karamajong in Kampala, there is a Mtoro, there is a Mchiga, there is what? And then Kampala should be of Buganda.
But that Karamajong is receiving services from the administration.
Yeah. That, because they were looking at recipients receiving taxes.
Yeah, for us
in
on
terms,
the street, Chief.
they were talking.
Never before.
Jesus Christ. They were talking of receiving taxes in relation to tribe, in relation to an ethnic group. They were not looking at receiving taxes in relation to those who are in that ethnic
geographical
group. So the
location.
assumption is that it is only the Baganda who are in the Buganda. They receive your 40%. That's how they were conceptualizing.
Which was
federation.
myopic.
Exactly.
Of course, it was stupid. But then what do you do? The population appear not to be knowing what they are asking for. The leaders who know may not even be able to. Then you now have a new notion. The president is meeting leaders from districts, and you know what he calls them? Delegations. So he now creates his own kingdom in Rwachtura, where delegations from the district are coming. And when they come, they ask, what is your memorandum? Those are fellows you have given power. And when he gives them, he calls it a donation. The other day, the first lady was in Karamoja and says, I have looked at them from the throne, high in the sky, and I have felt pity at them. And I have donated to them my ambulance. In other words, the ambulance in his convoy is a personal property. And he's giving it to them because he's very sympathetic. They really look very
Magnanimous.
Magnanimous, yeah.
Objects of pity.
So you are, the Karamajong are now objects of pity. But the others are subjects
of charity.
We are subjects of charity. Romshana is quarreling because he's very broke. Call him for rehabilitation. and we are now lining up.
When are you going for your
Yeah,
rehabilitation?
I'm waiting for the court. Let me see how the court
Counseling.
Yeah, because I've heard of many. They are in, they are out because they are undergoing rehabilitation. So we are either subjects or objects. But you become a subject because he is a king. And then the other various are territories. And by the way, also Segona, you have been receiving titles, haven't you?
True. We've
Yes.
been recovering.
Viewers, I take a break.
Receiving, and they give you and they take pictures.
Mine is recovering.
They take photos.
No. You see, Mr. Museveni is a successor in title to the thief who stole our titles. So we are not receiving them. We are simply recovering them.
Let me take this break.
I don't want to
On the
say he's
camera.
another thief.
When I take the break,
Unfortunately.
I will return with Honorable Segona, and I'll be able to take possibly 4 or 5 calls that are coming in. I see a number of you have been calling. I'll try to take as many as you will be brief. Viewers, when you're calling into the show, turn down the volume of your set so you do not struggle to hear yourself on the TV when we say hello. Talk to us. So we take that break.